everybody. Don't look at me too close. We're going to look at this. And welcome. I know I'm not getting here as often as I did because we've been busy with projects here in this house. And I was going to show that to you today, but maybe you can let me know if the days when there's really just watching our orchids grow, you want to see what Jack and I are doing in the background. Because lately, the dining room, it was covered in plastic and a great big door because I had to paint 3 coats of paint on one side, 3 coats of paint on the other, and Jack had to drill holes in it, and we made a sliding door where I go into the spare room, painting room, sewing room. And it used to open into the room, and it saved so much space, and it's so nice. So let me know if you want to hear these kind of things that we're up to in the background. And the patio has all got windows, and the carpenter is away for a couple weeks with other more important things. And so we are going to do orchids today. This little orchid, the last one I did the video of, with the nice little speckled leaves. So I've been watering it twice a week, and tomorrow is orchid watering day. And I want to check how it's doing because looking at it, it has blasted 2 tiny little buds. If you can, oh, here we go. There we go. Whoop, he wants to wiggle all over. There. It blasted 2 very tiny ones, and there's still some to come, but it did blast 2. And why would it blast 2? Well, your orchids will blast the buds. They will turn very pale and dry looking. For many reasons, and I have another one later when I take you on an orchid tour I want to show you, because they will blast for different reasons. For one reason, the plant has to have enough energy stored from the growing season and have enough good roots and leaves to carry those buds through to finish flowering and then going into bud. So, and flowering, yes. And other things can affect it too. Too much watering will affect it. If the orchid dries out too much before it is watered, the first thing it'll do if it has a spike is give up a bud or 2. Depending on how dry it gets. So that's one reason we want to check the pot and make sure before we water is the best time. So I'm going to water tomorrow, and I'm going to see, I've been watering this without checking since I got it and repotted it in the last video. You want to know if you really have to water or if I may be watering too much, doing it twice a week. I like to water twice a week on a new plant where I've taken it from the moss to the bark because it's being in moss, it's used to a more humid environment. And I have found I don't get wimpy leaves if I give that extra watering during the adjustment time while it gets used to its new medium. Any medium will do this. Even when I changed to the terrarium, the plants took a shock and grew different roots. Now some will stay. The ones that are more used to that environment will be fine. But ones that take a shock, well, they will do things like drop their buds. Ethylene from fruit, if you have fruit or onions on your counter near your plants, that can do it. A cold draft, unusual temperature. There is many things that can do it. But anyway, I want to check this before watering day, and we'll see, because we do expect a shock to the roots. But the leaves are still very firm, and they're not showing any shock. So let's have a look. I'm just going to grab a good hold of it as best I can while I kind of tip it gently on its side, and we'll see. And you know, it really is good to go to the bottom. Now halfway through, the medium is dry, but down at the bottom, it's more damp. If it's still damp, but the rest is dry, and there's no water sitting in there, I probably can't show you, but the bottom, because there's only one hole down there, and the other is raised quite a bit, and quite often it can settle there. And so it feels probably a quarter of the media is damp. So what is that dampness doing? Don't, you know, sometimes you look at the top of your medium and you look at it and you say, oh, it's dry, I gotta water. But not so, because down in the bottom of the pot, there is enough humidity coming from that moisture to keep those roots happy. Even, I think, if they've been in moss. So, and you're changing them over, because this is where you can end up watering more than you need to be watering. So you can see, you probably see a tiny little moisture on this. I don't know, I can, I'm not sure if you can. But yes, those are damp, the top was dry, and I have a mixture of rock and lava, fir and lava rock. So it seems really good. So that's all I've got in there. I never left any moss, and I'm going to show you a close-up because I'm still going to keep watering twice a week. But if I look at these roots and they're mushy, or if the medium is too wet, then I know don't water. But when I am watering it twice a week, I'm making sure I turn it on its side a little bit to make sure, because the first holes in this pot are raised a bit. So to make sure that that water is draining out of there, because that's what you want. So let's check her and see what we got. So, and also you can tell by feeling the roots. These feel damp. There's a couple little pieces of moss on them, but not enough to, they feel damp. The top ones are drier, but they're still green. So this is where we took one off. So I see nothing wrong. We haven't lost any yet. The leaves are still very firm and upright. So will I water tomorrow? Yes. Will I water twice a week? Yes, but I'll be very careful to drain that water out of there. And what happens is when you're not worried about the top being too dry, and you know you got a bit of humidity in the bottom because it's still damp down there, that is encouraging those roots to grow down. And if you keep watering the top and you're so worried about that, and then you get too wet down here, you're going to rot them. Where if you let it dry up on the surface and you still got some humidity down at the bottom, it's encouraging roots to grow. And the growing season is coming eventually. So I'm going to put the damp ones back in the bottom first. So, and then we're going to put them in there. And I like to be a little high. I don't like where the leaves grow out, I don't like that sitting on the top surface too deep. Because mine is always growing on the dry side, all my orchids, I don't have to worry about rot from water settling on the top. I've never had crown rot because I've always grown on the dry side. But now if I had looked in there and it was bone dry to the bottom, I would sure be ready to water. But if the roots are still green, then I'd say, oh, this is working out really good for me. So let me put these back. I do have another one I want to show you. I thought about taking Mini Mart. She's a species, and I thought about taking her out of the pot to show you. And then I thought, well, she's got 2 bud blasts, but you know what? She's only getting watered once a week. And maybe just because it's a good learning experience, and I don't think I'm going to let her flower because I don't think she has energy. I'll go get her and we'll have a look. We'll have a look at her too. So there we go. It's happy. I can water it tomorrow. And it's kind of like Wednesday and Sunday approximately. But we've been very busy doing doors and things that I haven't sometimes been exact with it, but I have been doing twice a week, and I have not checked till you saw me do it just now. So we know that. And this is my latest project. I asked Jack, I'm trying to do a sign for the front near where we have Our Lady, and he cut me this piece of metal. And we live in Raven Subdivision. That's the name of the subdivision. And I wanted to do something kind of different. So I put Raven, and I painted 2 ravens in a nest, home sweet home. And I'm probably going to put, I got a couple extra shepherd hooks, steel ones that I'll probably put in the ground out there and hang that behind the wagon where the flowers are and the ladies on the bike. So that has been all painted and with golden latex. And the printing I did with Granny Franny sent me some latex, not latex, but acrylic pens. And they're really nice for doing something like printing. So thank you again. So that is one of the little things we're doing. So because the weather's boring and the plants are growing and we're loving watching them. But let me go get Mini Mart. I'll be right back. Okay, Mini Mart has only been getting watered once a week. Let me take her out of this. She's in one of those baskets that can hang, and core fibers. And I just pick up these at the thrift store. People lose things, or maybe it could be from a bowl or from a fondue thing or anything. And I kind of keep them off so that they drain. But anyway, I've thought, and I haven't been in the pot to check, that her roots looked really good. But you see, I never thought her leaves were as healthy as they should be. And if you can see these yellow little buds, she is blasting buds. She blasts this one and now this one. So there is a reason for it, and maybe it's more important for us to know what the reason is than to let her continue. I will probably leave those like that. If she blasts one more, I will just trim it right back because I want the main plant to be healthy. And I haven't checked this. I got this on November 5th, 2021. And I haven't, and she was changed from moss to bark. And I did go through my usual process like I did with this one. And she was doing good, but this is my only one that's blasting a bud. And like, it could be so many reasons. But I'm thinking she just doesn't have the energy stored from last year. So even lighting, so many things. So let's see if we can, you know, I I probably won't pull her right out because if you can see here, she's got some really nice roots. So unless there's something else going on in here. So with the ones in the traffic cone and with the ones in baskets like this, when I have to change the bark, I am not disturbing the plant. I have found they do not like their roots disturbed. If they've attached to something, they like to stay attached. I learned the hard way, and we're going to see. So watering day is tomorrow. Let's see how she looks. Because it is smaller than most of my pots. Now, there is some slight dampness in the bottom, but it's not as damp as the other pot was, probably because this breathes a lot more air than pots do, even though they have holes. This is, you can even see through it. I can going this way, but look, here's the roots. Now I want to feel them. Now that one's dry. See, some of these are just roots that have had to get used to a new change, but these are new roots. These are new roots that are going to be very healthy in this media. Those are the roots from the moss. But nothing is soggy because I grow on the dry side. So she's got lots of good roots, no doubt about it. For the size of her, she's got one here, and she's got two here, and another one here, and there's lots of roots inside. So I think I'll just put these back in there, and see, I haven't really disturbed her much, but I do understand now that she maybe could have had a little more water because she is in spike. And she is in a small pot with good aeration. So probably because she's in spike, I'm going to say I could probably water her twice a week with my other one. And I'm going to do that, and we'll see, before I cut anything off, we'll see if she'll actually open some buds. Maybe she was a little too dry. And these are the things we can only learn by looking into the pot. Now, she seems happy, and that's not going to bother her too much because I haven't disturbed the roots. I've looked at them, but I haven't really disturbed them. They're still in the same, but I would say she's too dry. It's a little damp on the bottom, but I think because they're in spike, they're using a little more, need a little more carefulness, not too dry, not too wet, but this is how we learn. So, and she's not flowered for me yet, so, because she was just a little tiny baby, and her leaves are not as healthy as I'd like to see them. So, that's our learning experience, and I'll just get all that put back. And then, you know, when you got them in there, if you want them a little higher, just slightly pull and shake. You know, this is what I like about growing on the dry side. And I like the bark. And a little bit of lather rock is also too, but there's none in this one. This is just straight fir bark, and it is very dry. So because it's a smaller pot and because it's in the fiber, I think probably it's my fault, and I should have been giving her twice a week, which I did in the summer last year. The little pots got more. I'm going to pull that up so it's not, the flower isn't sitting on the, and I kind of shake it and pull and let all that bark fall back into place. There we go. So tomorrow it gets watered. So we both learned something. And now, oops, Val Mini Mart. She's still doing good because she's got lots of roots and she'll probably grow some nice new leaves this year. So now I'm going to take you on a little tour of the Orchid Center. I won't show you this one now because we did it. I wasn't sure I was going to do it, but I do want to show you a few beauties that are opening right now. Okay. Oh, and I do have a surprise in my solarium, something growing. So these are doing very well. I have all the misters on because we're very, very cold again, freezing outside and no moisture. But these are getting all this mist and it's keeping it about 55 instead of 30 here. And even all these roots that are growing outside my pots, they're still happy. You know, they don't have to be green when they're outside, but I can tell looking at them, they're happy. And this one is just loaded with leaves, and this is one of my white ones. So, see if I can get that, follow that spike up there. It's going to have lots of flowers. So that's a white one coming. And this one's just beautiful. We are going to have a lot of blooms come Valentine's Day. And the date that this started spiking, and I put it on the saucer, was October 12th. So, and there's the mini. That one there has got lots of flowers, and the purple one. It's forming another branch right in here. I could probably be giving them twice a week because of the smaller pot. And here we have some real big blossoms coming. And back here, two that I managed to save that were not too good. And here, this is a cone we found and drilled holes in. And it's doing good. So these will just, traffic cones will just get the bark shook out and bark put in. Easy. And this is one of my latest ones, and it was the one that took the fat, when I poured fat dripping on it and had to wash it. And it's got a nice spike coming, and that was last year's orchid. I forget the date, it's written there somewhere. And this one here, looks like these are going to be purple, but there's also lots of flowers coming. So things are being good. Even this little one here, Phallophinia, I have only been doing her once a week, but I was careful to sit her near where the mist is on. But she is dry too. It's watering day tomorrow. So, okay, let's go here. Now, over in here, I did make some changes. Let me open the door. So, right in here, I can show you, there's a tiny little, it looks like new growth, or it could surprise me and be a flower, but I haven't seen that before. So that one's looking good, and there's nice new roots coming here. But I want to show you, you won't see Horella reticula is no longer in that little flower. It was holding too much water there, and it was hard on its roots, and I'll show you what I've done. I have these little baby things I got in the mail, and I forget the name of them. They're Peperonia prostrata. Inside is where I have Horella reticula now. And she's sending out another bloom. I think it was just a little too much in the light up here and holding too much water. But everything is doing so good. And of course, this one here is just beautiful. And this is one, because you know I don't often leave last year's spike. And this is one that did flower also off of last year's spike. And it's also in the cocoa fiber. Just a dollar thing I found at a garage sale that I put fiber around and put the pot in. But it's happy. Okay. And I keep water in this big dish for humidity, and it encourages the roots to grow down. And it's watering day tomorrow, but look at how many roots even up here. I do not worry. Like, this is dry. I do not worry. Summer they get twice a week. Winter they get once a week. And in the glass one, which was an experiment, there is green roots. It makes humidity longer in there, but it does drain. There's a hole at the very bottom. And in here, this one usually flowers in the summer. It has a new leaf coming. And I'm glad, because this leaf here didn't look very good. And there's some flowers there. And up here, we have a few little flowers there. And then over here, got some nice ones coming in this small traffic cone. And that's Fantastic Pearl, Georgia Pearl. And up here, my Peloric orchid, Sogo Vivian, she has some nice little spikes coming. And these are the two that got in the heat dome and were all the summer of the heat dome and almost died. I thought they were dead, forgot they were out there. And they are starting to recover, and I wasn't going to let it bloom, but wow, it has a beautiful flower. So, and another big one coming, so I see good things for these two, and they're together because they were together during the time they spent out there. So, one more window of orchids. Yes, we are enjoying them. So in here, this traffic cone is just starting to bring a nice spike out. And here. And of course, here's my older one. Her leaves are so nice, and she's a purple flower, and she always has a slight purple tint to her leaves. And then over here, this was a base of a lamp turned upside down for an orchid. And there's some more coming back here. And back here I have Sheriana because she's not got enough leaves, and I should probably be giving her a little extra water, but she's fine. Watering day tomorrow. And my rabbit's foot fern, every winter it seems to lose fronds, and then they come back. So I'm making sure it's got humidity right here. And we have another one coming in bud. And there's my little money plant. It's growing babies. And I quite often keep this light on right here for it. So, anyway, I could show you one more thing before we go. We We put these floor runners on our recliners, you know, so summer you don't sweat, and it kind of protects them. Maggie, she's getting older. She's 10 now, and she likes her little naps. So, it's keeping them way more in their shape. I didn't go around and tidy this today. It's where we watch TV at night. But I want to show you what I did. The floor runner, we measured for the length. And then I took little suspenders and I hooked them on the inside corner. I made them. I bought the little clips and then sewed some elastic on and made them so that now they stay in place. And they're very good, and it's working really good. So I went to the sewing store and bought them. Another little thing we've done. So thanks for joining me, and hope this helps you out. Bye for now.